their doors, and that is going to be an increasing problem for you as time goes by. So, there's a butcher, or is it a butcher? Because I want to tell a little tale. I went into I can talk about Super Value there, and I went into a Super Value in Blackrock on my way home there recently. I needed to get some lamb shanks, and there was a whole load of fellas in behind the counter all wearing stripy aprons and check trousers and bowler hats and carrying knives and that. And I asked the guy behind the counter, I said, do you have any lamb shanks? And his answer was, no, they don't do them anymore. So I asked him, how do the sheep get around? And he looked at me, and he actually didn't know what I was talking about. He was dressed up as a butcher, and in fact he was what I call a butcher, a fake butcher. And the supermarkets are full of them. If you get a job in the supermarket, if you're on the vegetable counter, you're dressed up as in green, and if you're in the butcher's counter, you're dressed up in red with check trousers and all the rest of that stuff. And people believe that they're butchers, and that they believe that what's going on in the cabinet is all that happens in a butcher's shop. And that, I think, is a travesty. So beware of the butcher. I was talking to you about a war. I'm going to sit down, actually, if you don't mind. I was talking to you about a war, and in the war, there are these fellas with the big guns, and there's the high street that they're working on. And in amongst the high street is the poor butcher, that's you chaps. So, who do little focus their attention on? You feel they're focused on you, Duns are doing it, Aldi are doing it. And then of course, we have the local butcher. And so who's he focusing his attention on? Unfortunately, he's focusing his attention on other butchers. A lot of you, I see this around the place, a lot of you see yourselves as your competition. And that is daft. Because if you have a strong retail butchery section in the market, everything's good for everybody. That's not John Wayne, that is Genghis Khan. And Genghis Khan, I think, was the last person who was able to say that and actually mean it. It's not good enough that I succeed, but everybody else has to fail. And the way some of you guys interact with each other has that approach. You want to see the other guy fail. You won't work with the guy because he's down the road, he's going to take business away from you. And that's nonsense. You'll end up being the last butcher in town, and then you'll be gone. Whereas if you can build through cooperation and volunteering with each other a strong sector, then you'll be able to see an awful lot of the competition that's out there. So you need to know your friends. There's little Nevin, he's a lovely fella. Nevin is a friend. He's been very, very good at promoting small producers around Ireland. But you also need to know your enemies. And Nevin is a brand ambassador for Dunn's stores, where he's working, rapidly promoting Dunn's butchering offering, which is through Pat Whelan and James Whelan's Butchers. They're not your friends, they are the enemy. Could I tell you a story? Oh, I'll put this out for a second. I want to tell you a story about, it starts 130 odd years ago, in a little town in Italy called Casalatico. There's a guy called Giuseppe Servi, used to live there. He jumped out of Italy because the nation states that used to be in Italy all came together, and it was a very poor time for people, and lots of Italians emigrated to other parts of Europe. Giuseppe came here, he had no skills. He got a barrow and he got some oil and he started frying potatoes. And dear lordy, did we love those potatoes. And Giuseppe was very successful, and he opened the first chip shop. Come back. You have to see this. Giuseppe opened the first chip shop on what they call Great Brunswick Street, or on Pierce Street in Dublin. And an Irish-Italian institution was born, as they say. Time went by, and go back to the slide that I jumped onto. Giuseppe faced all sorts of competition, just like you're facing. His ancestors are dealing with these lads now. And when I go and talk to a group of chipper people, they tell me exactly the same things that you tell me, except in different language. Oh, it's McDonald's this, and Burger King that, and Kentucky Fried Chicken the other. But it's kind of the same problem. But a few years ago, at the very, very bottom of the downturn, I was sitting in my office. Now, to set context on for myself, I'd had to let almost half our staff go. Our business was down by over 60%. There was no business out there, the phones weren't ringing, nothing was happening. And I got a call from an Italian fella who said he wanted to set up an association of chippers. And he wanted to promote fish and chips in Ireland. And I kind of thought this is daft, but I thought I'd hear him out. I went out to meet him. Mario Aprile is his name, and Mario introduced me to his association, the Irish Traditional Italian Chippers Association, and we got together and we talked about their marketing, and National Fish and Chips Day was born. It's been on the last Wednesday of May for the last 8 years. That's the godfather, as he's called, or the codfather of the Italian chipper business. To put it in a context, National Fish and Chips Day, the guys do 10 days business in a day. They sell half-price fish and chips. People say, "I was making no money selling it at half price." They're making a fortune, because people aren't just buying fish and chips, they're buying burgers, they're buying Cokes, they're buying all the rest of it. They do 10 days business in a day, and last National Fish and Chip Day, they served over 100,000 portions of fish and chips here in Ireland. So why am I telling you this? They also got things together like a low-calorie fish and chips, if you can believe such a thing, and they've been marketing that quite successfully as a lunch thing. Now, they do that with a nice box, and the way that they make it low-calorie is they make the box nice and small, and that halves the amount of calories, and that's marketing. So I wanted to ask you the question, as butchers, what is your National Fish and Chip Day? What could you be doing? I don't know the answer to this, by the way. I'd need to be paid a lot of money to do that for you. But some pointers, what you need to do, you need to get together. You need to really put some thought into what you're trying to achieve. Make a plan, and you need to be really brave. Bear in mind, before National Fish and Chips Day, it was a daft idea. It really was daft. But they made it work, and the country took to it. The other thing that they were prepared to do, they spent a few quid, and they were also prepared to succeed, which is something that sounds almost too obvious to say, but you really do need to be prepared to be successful. And now, I know James Lawler, some of you in the room would know James, and I know he'd be mortified to see his shop being put up here, but I want to tell you a little story about James. I do a bit of cycling with James, and also when I'm thinking about my food drive and all the rest of it, I pester James about stuff, and I'm always asking him to come up with new things for me to write about. So James was getting in some beef, particular kind of beef, and I said that'd be great, I could make him a burger with that, and I could write about that in the blog. So I did, and that's the beef, and that's in fact all the ingredients: salt, pepper, and beef. Nice fatty beef is what you need for nice fatty burgers, for flavour. And the beef is from Belted Galloway. Most of you would know what a Belted Galloway looks like better than I do. They're a lovely, slow-growing breed. There aren't a huge number of them around. Supermarkets can't use Galloway because there aren't enough of them around. They're slow-growing, they're expensive. anyway, James took my recipe, he commercialised, he did the things you guys have to do to be able to preserve meat and all the rest of it. And that is the burgers I cooked, by the way. They were really tasty. And James entered them into the Craft Butchers Barbecue Awards, and they won the Best Burger and the Supreme Champion in the awards. Happy days. So, what do you think James would have done when he did that? Most people would say, this is great, I've got something that I can market, I can get one up on my competitors, and life would be good. But James didn't do that, because he realised that to make a success of this, he needed to be able to process a number of animals on an ongoing basis. And to do that, he needed more butchers. So he shared his recipe, he shared his spice mix recipe method with a number of butchers, with Clifton Fenlands and with Seamus Etterson. That gave 5 shops selling the Belted Galloway burgers. And we did a bit of marketing around it. We were able to do the same amount of inputs on the marketing to get the outputs in 3 different retailers and 5 different shops. That all worked really well. They've been, I think it's fair to say, they've been a huge success. Customers are coming in, specifying them, asking for them. They're paying way more for the Galloway burgers than other burgers. They are highly profitable, and they cannot be done by supermarkets because there aren't enough Galloways around the place. We're also doing a bit of sort of product development. This was an idea I had that we could do a bone marrow burger with smoked salt, and it is, if I say it, it's actually nicer than the Galloway burger, but there's a problem in calling things bone marrow. Ladies do not like the idea of bone marrow in anything at all, so we need to put the bone marrow in but call it something else, and we'll come back to that. So the fight back, I think you need to be giving excellent personal service because you are not butchers. I also think that you can build a lot of loyalty, and you shouldn't be competing on mince chicken fillets. The supermarkets are going to have a go at you in those areas, and they're going to undercut you in those areas. It's where you're making a decent bit of margin. Don't go there. Compete with them on something that they can't compete with you on. Build a reputation for quality, innovate in your products, and innovate in your marketing. The whole marketing area is changing on a daily basis, so you need to stay well up with all of that. And I really want you to share your innovations. There are great butchers out there doing great things. Some of you guys have invested in sausage making equipment and are making fantastic sausages, and you're selling them in your shop at your own. I'd ask the question, why aren't you selling them in a whole heap of different shops? Why aren't you all talking to each other? Why aren't you taking the advantage that one has and making it everybody's advantage? I think you should be doing that. You don't compete with each other. That's my fundamental message here today. You don't cooperate enough, and you need to get better organised to do all that. This is a little thing, an example of working with producers. Mark Williams, down in Summerhill Farm, who grows the Galloways. I was talking to Mark through our interactions with the butchers, and Mark said, why don't we really promote the Galloways? So now we just put in posters, leaflets and counter cards for the Galloway, promoting it as something that can be got from your local butcher and by default can't be got elsewhere. You and your small producers are codependent. They need you, you need them, and you should be talking to them, and they will help you pay for your marketing and promotions. Promoting groups, it'll cut your costs and it'll reflect the quality of your products. You'll become famous for quality service, convenience and innovation, which is really, really important. And I think you should be building opportunities together. That dish, by the way, is lamb chump, which you won't find in a supermarket. And it is glorious and easy to cook. and it's the right size for 2 people, and it's something that you might think about doing rather than doing side-line chops. Just trim it out a bit and do that. So cooperate, innovate, promote, and as I say, wash, rinse and repeat. If you want to get to new places, you do have to take baby steps, but those baby steps ultimately lead to new places, and you can conquer the world and the moon if you want to. Sorry, that quote that just went by was Thomas Edison saying that he failed his ways to success. Don't be afraid of failing. We all do it. Try things. Lots of them won't work. So you can be a dying breed if you want to, or if you really get yourselves organised, you can be a thriving breed like the phoenix, flying out of the flames and getting on with future success. Thank you.